The stars looked the same as they always had from Earth. People went about their normal day on Tuesday morning, drinking coffee, going to work, and complaining about traffic. No one knew that death was coming from space. Commander Vexil stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the blue and green planet through the viewing screen. His forearms moved across the control panels as he checked the battle formation one last time. Behind him, 50 warships of the Zephrian Armada waited for his command. Each ship was 3 times bigger than anything the humans had ever built. "Target analysis complete, Commander," said his second officer, Krillanax. The tall alien's silver skin gleamed under the ship's lights. The planet has approximately 8 billion inhabitants. Their technology level is primitive. No energy shields, no plasma weapons. Their fastest ships cannot even leave their star system. Vexil's mouth parts clicked together in what passed for a smile among his people. This would be easy. Too easy, perhaps. The Zephrian Empire had conquered 47 worlds in the past century. Each one had put up more fight than this ball of dirt would manage. "Their largest weapons appear to be chemical explosives," Krillanax continued. "Some atomic devices, but nothing that can threaten our hull armor. Intelligence estimates complete planetary surrender within 1 rotation." "1 rotation?" Vexil laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "You are too generous, old friend. Give me 10 of their minutes. That is all I need." On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chun was having the worst morning of her scientific career. The particle accelerator at CERN had been acting strange for weeks. Energy readings kept spiking in ways that made no sense. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago as she stared at the computer screens, trying to understand what the machines were telling her. "Sarah, you need to see this," called her assistant, David Park, from across the laboratory. His voice had a strange tone that made her look up from her work. "What is it?" she asked, walking over to his station. David pointed at his screen. "These are the radio telescopes. They picked up something big about 6 hours ago, really big." Sarah looked at the data. Her blood went cold. "How big?" 50 objects, each one about the size of a city. "They just appeared at the edge of our solar system." "Appeared? Like they came out of nowhere?" "No approach trajectory, no previous detection. They just showed up." Sarah grabbed her phone and started dialing. She had friends at NASA, at the military, at observatories around the world. But before she could make the first call, every screen in the laboratory went black. Then new words appeared in red letters. "Emergency broadcast system activated. Marcus Thompson was late for school again." The 16-year-old from Detroit was more worried about his history test than anything happening in space. He walked down the street with his backpack over one shoulder, checking his phone for messages from his girlfriend. The emergency alert hit his phone at the same time it hit every other device on Earth. "Attention, this is not a test. Unknown objects have entered Earth's atmosphere. Seek immediate shelter. Await further instructions." Marcus stopped walking. Around him, other people were pulling out their phones, reading the same message. Car radios blared the alert. Store televisions switched to emergency broadcasts. The normal sounds of the city were replaced by a growing buzz of confused voices. "What the hell?" Marcus muttered, looking up at the sky. It was clear and blue, just like always. No sign of anything wrong. Then he saw them, dark shapes moving across the sky, blotting out the sun. They were massive, bigger than any building he had ever seen. The ships moved silently, like black clouds of metal and death. There were 5 of them visible from where he stood, but he could see more in the distance. Marcus started running. In the Pentagon, General Patricia Hayes was having the meeting she had trained for her entire career but hoped would never happen. The Situation Room was full of the most powerful people in the military, and none of them had good news. 50 confirmed contacts, reported Colonel Stevens, pointing at the main screen. They appeared simultaneously at 0632 hours. No advance warning from any of our deep space monitoring systems. "How is that possible?" asked General Hayes. "We track asteroids smaller than cars." "Unknown, ma'am." These ships use some kind of technology we do not understand. They bypassed every detection system we have. Ships, repeated Hayes. You are certain they are artificial? Yes, ma'am. Perfect geometric shapes. They are maintaining formation. And they are responding to our radio attempts at communication. What are they saying? Stevens looked uncomfortable. They want to talk to our leaders, all of them. They have given us 10 minutes to arrange a global conference call. 10 minutes for the entire world to get on the phone? Hayes shook her head. That is impossible. They seem to understand that, ma'am. They said if we cannot manage it, they will make the conversation simpler. On the flagship, Vexil watched the primitive planet's response with amusement. Radio signals flew between the surface and orbiting satellites. The humans were trying to coordinate some kind of response, but it was chaos. Different groups were sending different messages. Some wanted to negotiate. Others were already moving their military forces. Shall we begin the demonstration, Commander? Asked Kurlanax. Not yet. Let them scramble for a few more minutes. I want them to understand how helpless they are. Vexil had studied the intelligence reports on Earth carefully. The humans were divided into hundreds of different nations. They fought constant wars with each other over resources, territory, and ideas. They had never faced a threat that required them to work together. They would collapse into panic and, finger-pointing within minutes, target the largest population centers, he ordered. Nothing fatal yet. Just enough to show them what we can do. Yes, Commander. The first energy beam struck Earth at exactly 1432 UTC, New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing. All the great cities of humanity saw the same thing. Pillars of green light descended from the sky and struck empty areas just outside the city limits. Where the beams hit, the ground melted into glass. The heat could be felt for miles. Sarah Shane felt the laboratory shake as the CERN facility was buzzed by one of the alien ships. Through the windows, she could see the massive vessel hanging in the air like a metal mountain. Its hull was smooth and dark with no visible weapons or engines. But she could feel the power radiating from it, making her instruments go crazy. They are not trying to kill us, she said suddenly. David looked at her like she was insane. What? Look. At the targeting, they hit empty ground near major cities. If they wanted to kill everyone, they would have aimed for the cities themselves. They are sending a message. What message? That they could kill us all if they wanted to. But they want something else first. Her phone rang. It was her contact at NASA. Sarah, thank God. Are you safe? For now. What is happening up there? They want to talk. All 50 ships are broadcasting the same message in every human language. They want our governments to surrender in 10 minutes, or they start destroying cities. Sarah looked out the window at the alien ship. Something was bothering her about the energy readings her equipment was showing. The ship was powerful, no doubt about that. But there was something else. Something that did not make sense. What exactly did they say? She asked. Complete and total surrender. All military forces to stand down. All governments to transfer authority to them. They promise to be fair rulers if we cooperate. And if we do not? Complete extermination of the human species. Marcus Thompson had made it home, but home did not feel safe anymore. His mom was crying in the kitchen while the news played on every screen in the house. His little sister was asking questions nobody could answer. Outside, he could hear sirens and car alarms and people shouting. The alien ship hanging over Detroit was close enough that he could see details on its hull. Strange symbols that might have been writing, openings that might have been weapons. It was beautiful in a terrible way, like a work of art designed to inspire fear. His phone buzzed with text messages from friends and family. Everyone wanted to know if he was okay. Everyone wanted to know what was happening. Nobody had any answers. Then the broadcast started. Every television channel, every radio station, every internet stream switched to the same signal. The voice that spoke was not human, but it used perfect English. People of Earth, I am Commander Vexil of the Zephrian Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our domain. You have shown impressive development for such a young species, but you lack the wisdom to govern yourselves. We will provide that wisdom, the voice paused. Marcus could imagine the alien on its ship, looking down at Earth like a god. You have 10 minutes to signal your complete surrender. All military forces must stand down. All governments must transfer authority to Zephrian administration. In return, we promise fair treatment and protection from the chaos of self-rule. Another pause. If you refuse, we will demonstrate why resistance is pointless. Your cities will burn. Your people will die. Your species will be remembered only as a cautionary tale for other worlds that choose defiance over wisdom. The choice is yours. You have 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. The broadcast ended. For a moment the world was silent except for the hum of alien engines in the sky. Then Marcus heard something that surprised him. His mom had stopped crying. She was in the living room now, and she was angry. 9.5 minutes, she said to the television. They think they can scare us into giving up in 9.5 minutes. She picked up her phone and started dialing. Who are you calling? Mom, your Uncle Jim, the one who was in the Marines. If these things think humans are going to roll over and play dead, they picked the wrong planet. All over Earth, similar conversations were happening. In military bunkers, generals were refusing direct orders to surrender. In government buildings, politicians were arguing about whether negotiation was possible. In homes and offices and schools, ordinary people were making the same choice Marcus's mom had made. They were choosing to fight. Commander Vexil monitored the human communications with growing confusion. He had expected panic. He had expected chaos. He had expected quick surrender from a species that had never faced a real threat. Instead, the radio chatter was full of defiance. Military units were moving into defensive positions. Civilian leaders were coordinating resistance plans. The humans were not behaving like a defeated enemy. They were behaving like an enemy that had not yet begun to fight. Commander, said Krillinax, perhaps we should reconsider the timeline. These humans seem more organized than our intelligence suggested. Vexil's claws clicked against his. Command Chair. No, their defiance proves they need to be taught respect. When the 10 minutes are up, we will give them a lesson they will never forget. But deep in his alien mind, a small voice was beginning to whisper that something was wrong. The humans were acting like they knew something he did not. Like they had been preparing for this moment, like they were not afraid. On Earth, the countdown continued. 8 minutes remaining. 7, 6, and with each passing minute, humanity's real response was beginning to take shape. 5 minutes and 20 seconds remained on the countdown when Dr. Sarah Chun made a discovery that changed everything. She was still in her laboratory at CERN, watching the alien ship through the window while her instruments went wild. The energy. Readings from the vessel were unlike anything in human science, but there was a pattern hidden in the chaos. Sarah had spent 15 years studying particle physics, and something about the alien technology felt familiar. David, look at this, she called to her assistant. The energy signature from their ship. Run it through the quantum field analysis program. David's fingers flew over the keyboard. What am I looking for? I think they are using some kind of gravitational manipulation. But if I am right about the frequency... Sarah paused, staring at the screen. Oh my God, what is it? They are using the same theoretical framework we have been working on for the gravity field generator. The math is identical. But that should be impossible. Why impossible? Sarah turned away from the screen, her mind racing. Because we only figured out that math 3 months ago? And we have not published it anywhere. The only way they could know about it is if... If what? If they have been watching us for a very long time. 4 minutes and 15 seconds remained when General Patricia Hayes received a call that made her blood run cold. Ma'am, this is Colonel Rodriguez at NORAD. I need to report something that does not make sense. Go ahead, Colonel. Ma'am, we have been tracking those alien ships since they appeared. But when we ran their flight patterns through our computer models, we found something strange. Define strange. They are avoiding every single piece of space debris in Earth's orbit. Every satellite, every piece of junk, everything. Their navigation is too perfect. It is like they have a complete map of everything around our planet. General Hayes felt ice in her stomach. How complete? Down to objects smaller than a baseball, ma'am. That level of tracking would require years of observation. Maybe decades. Are you telling me they have been watching us? Yes, ma'am, for a very long time. Hayes hung up the phone and immediately dialed another number. If the aliens had been watching Earth for years, then this invasion was not a random attack. It was a carefully planned operation. And that changed everything. 3 minutes and 47 seconds remained when Marcus Thompson's Uncle Jim arrived. At their house in Detroit. Jim Peterson was a retired Marine sergeant who had served in 3 wars, and he brought friends. Mom called half the neighborhood, Marcus's little sister Emma whispered as she watched through the window. There are like 20 people in our backyard. Marcus looked outside. Uncle Jim had turned their backyard into a military planning session. Men and women of all ages were gathered around a table covered with maps and radios. Some were veterans. Like Jim, others were just neighbors who refused to give up without a fight. What are they doing? Emma asked. Planning, said Marcus, but as he watched, he realized it was more than that. These people were not panicking. They were not running around scared. They were working together like they had been preparing for this moment their whole lives. Marcus, come here, called Uncle Jim through the back door. You are good with computers, right? We need your help. Marcus walked outside. The group was bigger than he had thought. Mrs. Chun from down the street was there with her ham radio. Mr. Rodriguez, who worked at the auto plant, had brought blueprints of some kind. Even old Mr. Kowalski from next door was there, and he usually never talked to anyone. What do you need? Marcus asked. We are coordinating with other groups around the city, Jim explained. Mrs. Chun has been talking to radio operators all over the country. Turns out a lot of people are doing exactly what we are doing. Which is what? Getting ready to fight back. Jim pointed to his maps. The aliens put their ships over major cities, but they are not landing troops. They are just sitting up there, waiting for us to surrender. That tells us something important. What? They want the planet intact. They want the people alive. That gives us options. Marcus looked at the maps. Jim had marked the position of every alien ship visible from Detroit, along with notes about their size and behavior. It looked like something from a war movie. How do you know all this stuff? Marcus asked. Jim smiled. Son, America has been getting ready for this fight longer than you might think. 2 minutes and 53 seconds remained when the first government fell. The president of Brazil appeared on television, flanked by military officers and cabinet members. His face was pale but determined as he read from a prepared statement. The government of Brazil refuses to surrender to alien invaders. We call upon all free peoples of Earth to resist this attack on human sovereignty. Brazil will fight. Within 30 seconds, similar broadcasts came from Australia, Canada, Mexico, and a dozen other nations. The alien demand for global surrender was being rejected by governments around the world, but the most important response came from a source no one expected. This is Captain Maria Santos of the International Space Station, came a voice over every radio frequency on Earth. We have a clear view of the alien fleet from up here. And I have a message for Commander whatever his name is. The voice paused. In living rooms and military bunkers and alien ships, people and aliens alike listened. You made a mistake, Captain. Santos continued. You thought Earth was defenseless because you could not see our weapons. But you were looking in the wrong place. You should have been looking up. 1 minute and 38 seconds remained when Commander Vexil realized his intelligence reports had been wrong about everything. Sir, reported Krillinax, we are detecting massive energy buildups across the planet's surface. What kind of energy buildups? Unknown, sir. The readings do not match any technology in our databases. Vexil studied the tactical display. Red warning markers were appearing all over Earth's surface. Underground facilities were powering up, hidden installations were coming online. Orbital platforms that his senses had dismissed as primitive satellites were suddenly showing signs of advanced technology. How many sites? He asked. Over 3,000 confirmed, sir. And more coming online every second? 3,000? Vexil's voice rose in pitch. That is impossible. Our intelligence showed no such infrastructure. Sir, I think our intelligence was deliberately misled. Vexil stared at the display. Each red marker represented a facility that should not exist, weapons that should not be possible, technology that his supposedly superior civilization had missed completely. Send word to the fleet, he ordered. Prepare for immediate orbital bombardment. Something is very wrong here. 57 seconds remained when Dr. Sarah Chun received a phone call that answered all her questions. Dr. Chun, this is Director Morrison from a government agency you have never heard of, said the voice on the phone. We need you to activate the gravity field generator right now. That is impossible, Sarah replied. We have been working on the theory for months, but we are years away from a working prototype. Check sub-basement level 7. We only have 6 basement levels. Check again. Sarah ran to the elevator with David close behind. She pressed the button for basement. Level 6, but noticed something she had never seen before. There was a button marked B7, but it was covered by a metal plate. As she watched, the plate slid away with a soft click. What the hell? David whispered. Sarah pressed B7. The elevator descended much further than it should have been able to. When the doors opened, they stepped into a facility that took Sarah's breath away. The room was enormous, stretching out beyond what she could see. In the center was a device that looked exactly like the theoretical design she had been working on, except it was real and it was huge and it was already running. Dr. Chun, welcome to the real CERN, said a woman in a military uniform who appeared from somewhere in the shadows. We have been waiting for this day for a very long time. Who are you? Sarah asked. Colonel Lisa Park, Earth Defense Initiative. And that device you are looking at? It is one of 50 gravity field generators, hidden around the planet. We built them based on research that people like you have been doing for the past 20 years. 20 years? But the theory was only developed recently. The theory was developed in 1987. We have just been very good at keeping it secret. 31 seconds remained when the truth about Earth's defenses was revealed to the galaxy. Around the planet, hidden installations powered up simultaneously. Gravity field generators that had been disguised as research facilities came online. Orbital platforms that looked like weather satellites revealed their true nature as weapons platforms. Underground bunkers that had been built over decades opened their doors. On the Moon, a facility disguised as a mining operation deployed arrays of particle beam weapons. On Mars, what the world had thought was a small research outpost revealed itself as a full military base. In the asteroid belt, automated defense platforms that had been launched in secret over the past 30 years activated their targeting systems. The International Space Station, which everyone had assumed was just for scientific research, deployed weapon systems that made it look like a flying arsenal. This is impossible, Vexil whispered as his sensors showed him the scope of Earth's hidden defenses. No species develops this level of technology in secret. No species coordinates this well across their entire planet. Commander, said Krillanax, perhaps we should withdraw and request additional forces. No, Vexil snarled. They are trying to frighten us with illusions. No primitive species could build all this. Begin the bombardment. 15 seconds remained when every human on Earth received the same message on their phones, radios, and televisions. This is General Patricia Hayes, speaking for the Unified Defense Forces of Earth. To the alien fleet currently threatening our world, we have a simple message for you. The countdown reached 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. Marcus Thompson stood in his backyard with his family and neighbors, all of them looking up at the alien ship hanging over their city. 6, 5, 4. Dr. Sarah Chun stood next to a gravity weapon that could tear spaceships apart. finally understanding that Earth had been preparing for this moment her entire life without knowing it. 3, 2, 1, 0, General Hayes's voice echoed across the planet and was broadcast into space where the alien fleet could hear it clearly. No, the word hung in the air for a moment. Then the longest 10 minutes in human history came to an end, and Earth's real response began. Every hidden weapon fired at once. Gravity fields reached up from the planet's surface and grabbed alien ships like invisible hands. Particle beams lanced out from the Moon and Mars orbital platforms that had been hidden among space debris revealed themselves as heavily armed battle stations. The humans had not spent 10 minutes in panic and confusion. They had spent 10 minutes getting ready for war. And now the war began. The first alien ship to die was the one hanging over London. Commander Vexil watched in horror as his third battlecruiser, the Doom of Worlds, was suddenly pulled down toward Earth by forces that should not exist. The massive ship fought against the gravity field, its engines screaming at maximum power, but it was like watching a leaf try to escape a hurricane. Impossible, Vexil whispered as the ship's hull began to glow red from atmospheric friction. Their technology cannot do this. Sir, reported Krylonax, his voice shaking, the gravity field is artificial. They are using some kind of localized space-time manipulation. That technology is beyond even our capabilities. Yes, sir, it should not exist. The Doom of Worlds crashed into the English countryside with the force of a small nuclear weapon. The explosion could be seen from space. But before Vexil could process what had happened, his sensors detected something even more impossible. Objects were moving throughout Earth's orbital space. Thousands of them. Small, fast, and heading directly for his fleet. Sir, we have incoming. Missiles, called his weapons officer. How many? Difficult to determine, sir. They appear to be everything. Everything? Every piece of space debris around the planet, sir. Dead satellites, old rocket stages, pieces of metal that have been floating in orbit for decades. They are all moving under their own power, and they are all aimed at us. Vexil stared at the tactical display in disbelief. For 60 years, his people had been watching Earth develop space technology. They had seen the humans launch satellites and space stations and leave behind vast amounts of what appeared to be junk. Millions of pieces of dead metal floating uselessly around their planet, except it was not junk. It was the largest minefield in galactic history, and it had been waiting for exactly this moment. Dr. Sarah Chun stood in the hidden facility beneath CERN, watching her gravity field generator tear holes in space itself. The machine hummed with power that made her teeth ache, bending the laws of physics in ways that should have been impossible. How long have you been building these? She asked Colonel Park. Since 1962, the colonel replied, monitoring the weapon's output on her displays. Right after we made first contact. First contact? But this is first contact. No, Dr. Chun, this is first invasion. We have known about the Zephrians for over 60 years. They have been watching us, studying us, thinking we were too primitive to notice them. Sarah felt the world shift beneath her feet. We knew they were coming. We have been tracking their scout ships since the Kennedy administration. Every piece of technology you think is new, we have been developing it in secret for decades. The internet, GPS, satellite technology, even the particle accelerator you have been working on, all of it was designed to fight this exact war. On the main screen, Sarah watched as another alien ship fell victim to Earth's gravity weapons. The massive vessel was torn apart by forces that exceeded the design limits of its hull. Pieces of alien metal rained down into the Pacific Ocean. How many people know? Sarah asked. Need to know basis. Scientists like you do the research without knowing why. Military personnel like me prepare for the war without knowing when. Politicians make decisions without knowing the real reasons. The only people who know everything are so deep in the system that their names are not in any computer. Sarah thought about all the years she had spent studying theoretical physics, thinking she was pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. In reality, she had been building weapons. Are you angry? Colonel Park asked. Sarah watched another alien ship die and thought about her answer. Ask me after we win. Marcus Thompson stood in his backyard with his phone in his hand, filming everything. The alien ship that had been hanging over Detroit was fighting for its life against invisible forces. It spun and twisted in the air like a wounded animal, firing energy beams at targets it could not see. This is insane, he whispered, but he kept recording. Around him. His neighbors were cheering every time the alien ship shuddered under another impact. Mrs. Chun had her ham radio turned up loud, broadcasting reports from operators around the world. The news was the same everywhere. Alien ships were being destroyed faster than anyone had thought possible. Marcus, get inside, called his mother from the back door. Those energy beams are getting close. But Marcus could not stop watching. This was the most important moment in human history, and he was seeing it with his own eyes. The massive alien ship that had seemed so powerful and terrifying just minutes before now looked desperate and confused. Then something streaked across the sky above him. It was moving so fast he almost missed it, but his phone camera caught it. Clearly, a piece of metal about the size of a car, glowing white-hot from its speed, punched straight through the alien ship's hull. The ship exploded. The blast wave knocked Marcus flat on his back, but he kept filming even as debris rained down around him. Through his phone screen, he watched pieces of alien technology fall into his neighborhood like meteorites. Holy shit, he breathed, then looked around to make sure his mom had not heard him swear. His Uncle Jim was standing next to him, grinning like a maniac. Best fireworks show I ever saw, kid. How did we do that? Marcus asked. Same way America always wins wars, Jim replied. We cheat. Commander Vexil had lost 12 ships in the first 5 minutes of what was supposed to be a simple extermination mission. His mighty fleet was being torn apart by humans who should not have been able to fight back at all. Status report, he demanded. Sir, we are under attack from multiple vectors, reported Krellinax. Gravity weapons from the planet's surface, kinetic missiles from orbit, and energy weapons from their moon and the fourth planet. The fourth planet? Mars? They have weapons on Mars? Yes, sir. And sir, there is something else. What? The kinetic? Missiles are not missiles, sir. They are pieces of debris that have been disguised as space junk. Some of them have been in orbit for decades, just waiting. Vexil stared at the tactical display. Red markers showed the location of every piece of debris around Earth. There were millions of them, and they were all moving with purpose and coordination. What his people had dismissed as the careless waste of a primitive species was actually the most sophisticated trap ever laid. Sir, incoming transmission from the surface. Put it through. The voice that came through the ship's communication system was calm and professional. It belonged to General Patricia Hayes, but Vexil did not know that. Commander Vexil, this is Earth Defense Command. You have 30 seconds to order. Your remaining ships to surrender, or we will destroy them all. Surrender? Vexil laughed, but there was no humor in it. You are insects. We have conquered 47 worlds. And how many of those worlds were expecting you? The question hung in the air. Vexil realized with growing horror that the answer was none. Every world the Zephrian Empire had conquered had been surprised by their arrival. None had been prepared. None had been waiting. That is right, Commander, continued the human voice. We knew you were coming. We have been watching your scout ships for 60 years. We have been preparing for this fight since before I was born. Did you really think a species capable of space travel would not notice giant alien ships flying around our system? Impossible. Our stealth technology is perfect. Your stealth technology is 60 years old. We cracked it in 1963. Vexil felt something he had never experienced before in his military career. Fear. You want to know how we built all this? The human continued. We did it the same way we do everything else. We worked together. Every nation on this planet contributed. Every scientist, every engineer, every soldier. For 60 years, the entire human species has been getting ready for you. Another of his ships exploded, torn apart by kinetic projectiles moving at significant fractions of the speed of light. And now you know why no one else in the galaxy has ever defeated humanity, Commander. Because no one else has ever fought humanity. Sir, whispered Krellinax, perhaps we should consider withdrawal. Vexil looked at his remaining ships. 38 out of 50 were still functional, but they were taking damage faster than they could repair it. His weapons were barely scratching the human orbital platforms, while their weapons were destroying his ships with every shot. Sir, we have another problem, reported his sensor officer. There are ships launching from the human moon base. What kind of ships? Fighter craft. Approximately 200 of them, and sir, they are using our technology. What do you mean, our technology? The engine signatures are Zephrian, sir, but the ships are human design. Vexil watched the display as waves of small, fast ships launched from a base on Earth's moon that his intelligence had claimed did not exist. The ships moved with the speed and agility of Zephrian fighters, but their attack patterns were unlike anything he had ever seen. How do they have our technology? He demanded. Sir, remember the scout ship that went missing near Jupiter 18 years ago? Vexil remembered. The ship had been investigating the outer planets when it simply vanished. They had assumed it hit an asteroid or suffered a mechanical failure. They captured it, he said. Yes, sir. And they have had 18 years to study our technology and improve on it. The human fighters reached his fleet and began their attack runs. They moved like a swarm of angry insects, too fast and too numerous to target effectively. But their weapons punched through Zephrian shields like they were made of paper. Sir, the human fighters are using modified versions of our own plasma cannons. But they have increased the power output by approximately 300%. How is that possible? Unknown, sir. The power requirements should melt their ships. Unless they solve the cooling problem, Vexil muttered. Unless they improved our own technology. He watched another of his ships die, this time torn apart by weapons that were based on Zephrian designs but built with human engineering. The humans had not just stolen his technology. They had made it better. Sir, transmission from Earth Defense Command again. Put it through. Commander, this is your final warning. Surrender now, or we will demonstrate why attacking Earth was the biggest mistake your species has ever made. Vexil looked around his bridge. His officers were staring at him, waiting for orders. His fleet was being destroyed by enemies who should not exist, using technology that should not be possible. For the first time in his military career, he was completely outmatched. What are your terms? He asked. Unconditional surrender of all Zephrian forces in this system. Your ships will be impounded. Your crews will be treated according to Earth's laws of war, and you will provide us with complete intelligence on all other Zephrian military assets. And if I refuse, then in about 10 minutes there will not be enough left of your fleet to fill a garbage can. Vexil looked at his tactical display one more time. 26 ships remaining. Human fighters swarming around them like wolves. Olgato platforms charging up for another barrage. Gravity weapons reaching up from the planet to grab his ships and crush them. He had come to Earth expecting to crush a primitive species in 10 minutes. Instead, that primitive species had turned his entire fleet into scrap metal in less time than that. I surrender, he said. The words felt like poison in his mouth, but they were the only words that made sense. Earth had not just defended itself. It had completely destroyed the military reputation of the Zephrian Empire in the space of a few minutes. Wise choice. Commander, came the human voice. Welcome to Earth. You are going to have a very interesting stay. The surrender of Commander Vexil should have been the end of the story. But for humanity, it was just the beginning. Admiral Rebecca Torres stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching the alien fleet power down their weapons and prepare for boarding. Around her, displays showed the status of Earth's defense network. Every hidden weapon was still active. Every secret base was still ready for war. Ma'am, reported Captain Williams, the alien commander is requesting permission to speak with Earth's leadership. Tell him he can speak to me. Therese replied. I am Earth's leadership today. The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of the alien flagship. Commander Vexil looked smaller than she had expected. His forearms moved nervously as he spoke. I am Commander Vexil of the Zephrian Empire. I formally surrender. All forces under my command to Earth. Surrender accepted, Torres said. Now, Commander, we need to talk about your friends. My friends? The rest of your empire? The other fleets? The home worlds? All of it? Vexil's skin changed color slightly. I do not understand. Commander, did you really think we would stop at just defending ourselves? Dr. Sarah Chun was no longer in the basement of CERN. She was aboard the human battle cruiser Defiance, watching Earth's moon grow smaller through the observation deck windows. Around her, the ship hummed with power that came from technology she was only beginning to understand. This is incredible, she said to Colonel Park, who had somehow become General Park in the past 6 hours. How long have we had ships like this? The Defiance was launched 8 years ago, Park replied, along with 12 other ships of the same class. They have been hiding in the asteroid belt, waiting for today. Waiting for today to do what? To hunt down every Zephrian ship in human space and destroy them. Sarah looked around the bridge of the Defiance. The crew moved with the confidence of people who had been training for this mission their entire careers. Human technology mixed seamlessly with improved alien systems. The ship felt like it had been built specifically to fight Zephrians. How many Zephrians are there? She asked. In this system? We counted 23 scout ships hiding in various locations. They thought they were too far away for us to detect. And now? Now we know exactly where they are, and they have no idea we are coming. Captain Maria Santos was no longer on the International Space Station. She was piloting a fighter craft that had been hidden inside what everyone thought was a space debris removal satellite. Her wingman was Lieutenant Jackson, a pilot who had supposedly been flying cargo runs to Mars for the past 5 years. Contacts on scope, Jackson reported over the radio. 3 Zephrian scout ships hiding behind the asteroid designated Romeo 7. Copy that, Santos replied. Remember, we want them alive if possible, dead if necessary. The 2 human fighters approached the asteroid field using engine signatures that matched civilian mining equipment. To the alien scouts, they looked like harmless humans going about their normal business. Right up until Santos and Jackson opened fire with weapons that the aliens had never seen before, the first scout ship died instantly, its hull torn apart by plasma bolts that burned hotter than the surface of the sun. The second ship tried to run, but Jackson was faster. The third ship attempted to send a warning signal back to the Zephrian homeworld, but Santos jammed its communications before the message could get through. 3 down, she reported. Moving to the next target. All? Across the solar system, similar hunts were taking place. Human ships that had been disguised as asteroids, space stations, and research platforms revealed their true nature and began systematically destroying every Zephrian presence they could find. Marcus Thompson was still in Detroit, but Detroit had changed. Military vehicles filled the streets. Soldiers were everywhere. And in the sky, human ships flew patrol routes with alien prisoners aboard. Marcus was still filming everything with his phone. His videos from the invasion had already been seen by millions of people around the world. Now he was documenting what came after. This is incredible, he said into his phone camera as he walked through downtown Detroit. It has been 6 hours since the aliens surrendered, and it is like our whole planet just became a military base. Behind him, a convoy of trucks drove past carrying pieces of alien technology. Engineers and scientists swarmed over every fragment, studying weapons and computers and engines that represented the most advanced technology in the galaxy. My Uncle Jim says this is just the beginning, Marcus continued. He says now that we beat them here, we have to make sure they never come back. Marcus stopped walking and pointed his camera at the sky, where the alien flagship was still visible as a dark spot against the blue. I keep thinking about what that alien commander said. About conquering 47 worlds. Well, if they could Do that to other people. What is to stop them from coming back with a bigger fleet? He lowered his phone and thought about that question. What was to stop them? The answer, he realized, was the same thing that had stopped them today. Humans. Commander Vexil sat in a human prison cell aboard his own flagship, which was now under human control. Through the small window, he could see human soldiers and technicians crawling over his ship like insects, studying every system and downloading every file. They are learning our technology, he said to Krillinax, who was in the cell next to him. Yes, sir, they are very good at it. Too good. How did they learn so fast? The cell door opened and Admiral Torres walked in. She pulled up a chair and sat down across from Vexil, studying him like he was an interesting specimen. You want to know how we learned your technology so quickly? She asked. Yes. The same way we learned everything else. We studied it. For 60 years, every time one of your scout ships got too close to Earth, we tracked it. We recorded its engine signatures. We analyzed its transmissions. We mapped its flight patterns. By the time you arrived for your invasion, we knew more about Zephrian technology than most Zephrians do. Vexil felt sick. You have been watching us watch you. That is right. And now we know everything about your empire, ship designs, fleet positions, homeworld locations, military codes, all of it. Impossible. That information is classified at the highest levels. Torres smiled. Commander, your computer systems have been broadcasting your classified information directly to us for the past 18 years. Every time you sent a message to your homeworld, we intercepted it. Every time you received new orders, we read them first. But our encryption was broken by a high school student in Tokyo in 2019. Nice kid. We gave her a full scholarship to MIT. Vexil stared at the human admiral. Everything he thought he knew about his own people's superiority was crumbling around him. What do you want from me? He asked. Information. Cooperation. And most importantly, a message to deliver to your homeworld. What message? That Earth is no longer a target. Earth is now a threat. The Zephrian scout ship Whisper of Stars had been hiding in the outer system for 2 months, watching human activity around Jupiter. Its mission was simple: observe and report. Do not engage. Do not be detected. Captain Zekthar was very good at his job. He had observed 17 different species over his career, and none of them had ever known he was there. Humans would be no different, except that 3 human ships had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly behind his position, and they were already locking weapons onto his hull. Zephrian vessel, this is Captain Reynolds of the Human. Ship Retribution, you are ordered to surrender immediately. Zekthar stared at his instruments. According to his sensors, there had been nothing in this region of space just seconds ago. The human ships had appeared out of nowhere, using technology that should not exist. How did you find me? He transmitted. We have been tracking you since. You entered our system 2 months ago, came the reply. Did you really think we would not notice a ship moving around Jupiter? Zekthar realized with growing horror that his stealth systems had failed completely. Worse, they had probably been. Failing for months without him knowing it. What are your terms? He asked. Surrender your ship and crew. Provide all intelligence on Zephrian fleet movements. And carry a message back to your homeworld. What message? That the humans are coming. Dr. Sarah Chun stood in the laboratory. Aboard the Defiance, studying pieces of alien technology that would have been impossible to imagine just hours before. But what fascinated her most was not the alien equipment. It was the human equipment that had been built to counter it. This plasma cannon, she said to General Park, it uses the same theoretical framework as the alien weapons, but the efficiency is incredible. How did we make it so much better? Necessity, Park replied. When you know you are going to fight someone with better technology, you have to be smarter than they are. But this represents decades of research. How did we know what to research? Park pointed to a computer display showing intercepted Zephrian communications. We have been reading their mail for 20 years, Dr. Chun. Every technical manual, every research report, every design specification. We knew what their weapons could do before they did. Sarah shook her head in amazement. We reverse-engineered their technology before we even had it. That is right. And now we are going to use it to make sure they never threaten anyone again. What do you mean? Earth is not just defending itself anymore, Dr. Chun. We are going on the offensive. Admiral Torres stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching displays that showed the location of every human ship in the solar system. Dozens of vessels that had been hidden for years were now moving with purpose toward the edge of human space. Status report, she ordered. Old Zephrian scout ships in the system have been captured or destroyed, reported Captain Williams. We have 17 alien vessels under human control, along with their complete databases, and our fleet? 13. Battle cruisers are ready for long-range operations. 26 destroyers are prepared for escort duty. The carrier groups are standing by for deployment, Torres nodded. For 60 years, humanity had been building a fleet in secret. Ships hidden in asteroid belts and behind planetary rings. Weapons. Platforms disguised as research stations. An entire military infrastructure that had been waiting for this exact moment. What about the prisoners? Commander Vexil and his senior officers are ready for transport back to Zephrian space. They will carry our message to their government. And what message is that? That Earth hereby claims jurisdiction over all species threatened by Zephrian expansion. That any further attacks on inhabited worlds will be considered an act of war against humanity. And that we are prepared to enforce that claim. Torres looked at the tactical display showing the positions of human ships throughout the solar system. Each ship represented years of secret preparation, hidden research, and careful planning. Earth had not just survived the alien invasion. It had used the invasion as an excuse to reveal capabilities that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Send the message, she ordered, and launch the fleet. Ma'am, are you sure about this? We are talking about taking on an entire interstellar empire. Torres smiled. Captain, 47 worlds have been conquered by the Zephrians. Billions of people are living under alien occupation. They have been waiting for someone to help them, and you think that someone is us? I know it is us. Because we are the first species in galactic history to not just survive a Zephrian invasion, but to completely destroy the invading fleet. And now every oppressed world in the galaxy is going to know that the Zephrians can be beaten. Torres turned back to the display, watching as human ships began their journey to the stars. The defense of Earth was over. The liberation of the galaxy was about to begin. Besides, she added, we have something the Zephrians never expected. What is that, ma'am? We fight for each other. 3 months after the failed invasion of Earth, Supreme Chancellor Morduk of the Zephrian Empire stood in his war room, staring at reports that made no sense. Explain this to me again, he said to his intelligence chief. Supreme Chancellor. 17 of our colonies have declared independence in the past month. They are no longer responding to our communications. Our fleets sent to restore order have simply vanished. Vanished? No debris, no distress signals, no survivors. They arrive at the rebel systems and then we never hear from them again. Morduk looked at the star map on the wall. Red markers showed the locations of lost colonies and missing fleets. The pattern was spreading like a disease across the empire. What do the surviving ships report? That is the problem, Supreme Chancellor. There are no surviving ships. That is impossible. Who has the power to destroy entire Zephrian fleets without leaving any trace? The intelligence chief hesitated. The reports from the failed Earth invasion mentioned advanced human technology, perhaps ... Perhaps nothing, Morduk snapped. Humans are a primitive species from a single world. They cannot threaten an empire that spans 1,000 systems. But, even as he said it, Morduk felt doubt creeping into his mind. The Earth invasion should have been a simple extermination mission. Instead, it had resulted in the complete loss of 50 warships and their crews. Now his empire was falling apart and no one could explain why. Supreme Chancellor, called his communications officer, we are receiving a transmission from the Kepler system. From our forces there? No, sir, from the rebels. The main screen activated, showing a face that Mordek had never seen before. It was humanoid, but clearly not Zephrian. The being had smooth skin, large eyes, and an expression of determination that made Mordek uncomfortable. I am President Veltar of the free world of Kepler Prime, the alien said. I am speaking for the Kepler Liberation Council and our human allies. Human allies? Mordek whispered. For 80 years, my people have lived under Zephrian occupation. We have been slaves in our own star system, forced to mine resources for an empire that sees us as tools rather than people. Today, that ends. The camera pulled back to show the speaker was not alone. Behind him stood beings from dozens of different species, all wearing the same expression of defiance. And scattered among them were humans in military uniforms. The Earth Defense Forces have accepted our request for protection under the Human Galactic Protection Act. As of today, Kepler Prime is under human jurisdiction. Any Zephrian ships entering this system will be destroyed. Mordek felt his blood run cold. Human Galactic Protection Act? What nonsense is this? The alien continued speaking. To the people of the galaxy who are watching this broadcast, no. That freedom is possible. The humans have proven that the Zephrians can be defeated. They have the technology, the will, and the courage to stand against tyranny wherever it exists. The transmission ended, leaving Mordek staring at a blank screen. Get me a full intelligence report on human activities, he ordered. I want to know everything about these Earth Defense Forces. Admiral Rebecca Torres stood on the bridge of the human flagship Enterprise, watching the surrender of another Zephrian garrison fleet. Around her, the liberated system of New Haven celebrated its freedom for the first time in 50 years. That makes 23 systems liberated, reported Captain Williams. The Zephrian Empire is collapsing faster than our intelligence predicted. Good, Torres replied. How many more systems have requested our protection? Over 100, ma'am. Word is spreading that humans can win against Zephrian forces. Every oppressed world in the galaxy wants to join our alliance, Torres nodded. The Human Galactic Protection Act had been her idea. Instead of simply conquering Zephrian territory, Earth was offering protection to any world that requested it. The result was an avalanche of liberation requests from species that had been waiting decades for someone to help them. What about Earth's expansion fleet? 12 new star systems have been colonized in the past 2 months. The terraforming technology we captured from the Zephrians is working perfectly. We should have self-sufficient colonies established within a year. Torres smiled. Earth was not just liberating other worlds. It was also expanding human presence throughout the galaxy at a rate that would have been impossible just months before. The failed alien invasion had given humanity access to technologies that accelerated their development by centuries. Ma'am, incoming transmission from Earth Command. The screen activated to show Admiral Hayes, who had been promoted to head of Earth's new Galactic Defense Ministry. Torres, I have new intelligence from our deep cover operatives in Zephrian space. Go ahead. The Zephrian Supreme Chancellor is planning a massive counterattack. They are gathering every remaining fleet for an assault on Earth. How massive? Every ship they have. Over 2,000 vessels. They are calling it the final cleansing. Torres considered this information. 2,000 ships was 10 times larger than any force humanity had faced before. But Earth was no longer the same world that had been attacked 3 months ago. What is our current fleet strength? She asked. 473 ships of the line, including captured Zephrian vessels, plus defensive installations in 57 systems. That should be enough. Ma'am, they outnumber us 4-1. Captain, they outnumbered us 50-1 during the original invasion. How did that work out for them? Dr. Sarah Chun was no longer just a physicist. She was now Director of Alien Technology Integration, overseeing the analysis and improvement of every piece of technology captured from the Zephrians. Her new laboratory was the size of a small city, built inside a hollowed-out asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The new plasma cannon designs are ready for production, reported her assistant, David Park, who had been promoted to Deputy Director. They are 3 times more powerful than anything the Zephrians have. What about the shield technology? We solved the power consumption problem. Our ships can now maintain energy shields indefinitely. Sarah looked at the test results on her screen. Human technology had advanced more in 3 months than it had in the previous century. Having access to Zephrian science was like being given the answers to a test she had been studying for her entire life. Any word from the weapons development team? They want to show you something. They say it will change everything. Sarah walked across the laboratory to the classified development section. Inside, her weapons team was working on a device that looked like a small metal sphere. What am I looking at? She asked. We call it a quantum destabilizer, explained Dr. Martinez, the weapons team leader. It uses principles we learned from Zephrian technology, but applies them in a way they never thought of. What does it do? It makes things stop existing. Sarah stared at the device. Explain. The Zephrians use quantum manipulation for faster-than-light travel. We figured out how to use it for faster-than-light destruction. This device can eliminate matter at the subatomic level across vast distances. How vast? We tested it on an asteroid yesterday. The asteroid was on the other side of the solar system. It took 0.3 seconds for it to completely cease to exist. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. How many of these have you built? 50, but we could build more if needed. I think 50 is enough to make the point. Marcus Thompson was no longer a high school student in Detroit. He was now a war correspondent for the Human Broadcasting Network, documenting the liberation of alien worlds for people back on Earth. Today he was on the planet Vega 7, filming the celebration as another Zephrian garrison surrendered. This is incredible, he said into his camera as aliens of a dozen different species danced in the streets around him. 3 months ago, these people were slaves. Today they are free, and it is all because humanity refused to give up. Behind him, human soldiers were helping to organize the new planetary government. The process had become routine. Liberate the world, set up democratic institutions, provide defensive technology, and move on to the next system. I have been thinking about what this all means, Marcus continued, walking through the celebrating crowd. 3 months ago, humans had never left our own solar system. Now we are spread across hundreds of worlds, helping billions of people live free lives. And it all started because some aliens made the mistake of thinking we would surrender without a fight. An alien child, no taller than Marcus's waist, ran up to him and offered him a flower. Marcus accepted it with a smile and continued filming. I think the most amazing thing is not that we won the war. It is that we are winning the peace. Every world we liberate becomes stronger. Every species we help becomes an ally. We are not building an empire. We are building a community. Marcus looked directly into his camera. And to any Zephrians who might be watching this, I have a message for you. You thought Earth was weak because we fight among ourselves sometimes? But that fighting made us strong. It taught us that freedom is worth defending. And now we are teaching that lesson to the entire galaxy. Supreme Chancellor Mordok stood before the assembled might of the Zephrian Empire. 2,000 ships filled the space around the capital world, representing every vessel his people could bring to bear. It was the largest fleet in galactic history. Today we end the human threat forever, he announced to his fleet commanders. These upstart primitives have humiliated our empire for the last time. We will strike at Earth with such force that the planet itself will be reduced to dust. Supreme Chancellor, reported his tactical officer, long-range sensors detect human ships approaching the system perimeter. How many? Difficult to determine, sir. Perhaps 50 vessels? Mordok laughed. 50 ships against 2,000? The humans have come to commit suicide. But as the human fleet drew closer, Mordok's laughter died in his throat. The ships approaching his capital were unlike anything he had ever seen. They moved with impossible grace, their hulls gleaming. with energy that his sensors could not identify. "Sir, the human ships are broadcasting a message. Put it through." The voice that came through the communication system was calm and confident. Morduk recognized it as Admiral Torres, the human who had been leading the liberation campaign. "Supreme Chancellor Morduk, this is Admiral Torres of the Earth Defense Forces. We are here to discuss the surrender of the Zephrian Empire." "Surrender?" Morduk sputtered. "You have 50 ships. I have 2,000. Quality over quantity." "Chancellor, besides, I thought you might want to see this before we begin." The human ships moved into formation, and suddenly space around them filled with light, but it was not weapon fire. It was the arrival of reinforcements. Ships materialized out of nothing. Human vessels, yes, but also ships from every species. The Zephrians had once conquered, hundreds of them, then thousands. The space around the Zephrian capital filled with the largest liberation fleet ever assembled. "You see, Chancellor," Torres continued, "we did not come here to fight you. We came here to offer you the same choice you offered Earth 3 months ago. Surrender, and you will be treated fairly. Refuse and face the consequences." Morduk stared at the display showing enemy ships. There were so many that his computers could not count them all. Every world his empire had conquered had sent ships to fight for their freedom. "You have 10 minutes to decide," Torres said. Morduk felt a bitter irony in those words. 10 minutes. The same amount of time his empire had given to Earth. The same amount of time that had led to the destruction of his invasion fleet and the collapse of everything his people had built over centuries. "Sir," whispered his aide, "what are your orders?" Morduk looked around his command bridge at the faces of his officers. They were afraid. For the first time in their lives, they were facing an enemy that was stronger than they were. "Open a channel," he said quietly. "This is Supreme Chancellor Morduk," he announced to the human fleet. "The Zephrian Empire ... Donders." The words felt like poison, but they were the only words that made sense. His empire was gone. His fleets were destroyed or scattered. His colonies had declared independence. All that remained was to accept defeat with whatever dignity he could manage. "Surrender accepted," Torres replied. "Welcome to the new galaxy, Chancellor. We have a lot of work to do." 6 months later, Marcus Thompson stood on the observation deck of the space station Unity, watching ships from 100 different worlds dock at the largest diplomatic facility ever built. The Galactic Council was meeting for the first time, and representatives from every free world in the galaxy had come to participate. "This is Marcus Thompson reporting from Unity Station," he said into his camera. "Today, for the first time in galactic history, every intelligent species in the known galaxy is meeting as equals to discuss their shared future." Through the window behind him, Earth was visible as a small blue dot in the distance. The planet that had been attacked by aliens 6 months ago was now the unofficial capital of galactic civilization. "The Zephrian Empire is gone," Marcus continued. "In its place, we have the Galactic Federation, where every world has a voice and every species has the right to determine its own destiny. And it all started because humanity refused to surrender." He paused, thinking about everything that had happened since that Tuesday morning when alien ships had appeared in Earth's sky. "I think the most important lesson from all of this is not that humans are special," he said. "It is that freedom is contagious. Once people see that tyranny can be defeated, they stop accepting it. Once they know that liberty is possible, they start fighting for it." Marcus looked directly into his camera one final time. "The invasion of Earth lasted 10 minutes, but the liberation of the galaxy will last forever." Behind him, through the window of Unity Station, ships from 1,000 worlds continued their eternal dance around the stars, free to explore the universe as equals rather than as conquerors and conquered. The galaxy had learned what humanity had always known, that the greatest strength comes not from the power to destroy, but from the courage to defend what matters most.